Good Thursday afternoon to you. Browns getting ready to kick it off with the Denver Broncos in just a few hours. A little later in the show, the D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, will join us. We will talk plenty of Browns and still plenty of Browns news coming out. So Jarvis Landry activated off the injured list. He is expected to play tonight. Jedrick Wills, left tackle, also expected to play tonight. Jack Conklin, not expected to be able to go. So Blake Hance switches from left tackle over to right tackle. He will be the guy that is responsible for blocking Von Miller, who, quote, wants to, quote, kill, unquote, the guy going against him. That'll be Blake Hance. Odell Beckham, truly a game-time decision. He's going to warm up and see if he can go, but not looking great for Odell Beckham to go. Of course, the start at quarterback goes to Case Keenum. We welcome in Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. So, Hayden, the good news is you get Jedrick Wills back. That's a huge thing. You get Jarvis Landry back, and you have Case Keenum under center. All in all, Browns need this one. It is a game they need very badly.
Yeah, Kevin Stefanski said it all week. I mean, it's one of those ones you got to scratch, claw, fight your way to a win. There's not a lot going in the Browns' favor right now in terms of injuries. Baker Mayfield out, obviously. Nick Chubb out and Kareem Hunt out. But, you know, getting Jarvis Landry back is a big boost. That's a big, big boost. It's a good opportunity for Case Keenum to have a safety valve at all times. Jarvis just seems to be open and one of the most reliable guys on this team. You get Dearness Johnson, who I think is a really quality running back. Maybe on the Browns, maybe on any other team at the Browns, he's a second option for a team out there. So Dearness Johnson, again, played well last year against Dallas. A good opportunity for him. But you're right. Again, if the Browns can just win this game and just steady the ship a little bit, get to 4-3, get to this mini bye week, they have about 10 days where they can rest up until that Pittsburgh Steelers game. That game is going to be full of adrenaline. That game is going to be full of intensity. So they have 10 days to kind of try to get healthy before that time. And I think this would be a huge win to help get them there.
And the fact that Jedrick Wills is able to play left tackle, that's what the expectation is. Won't be official for a couple hours until the inactives comes out. But what we saw from Jedrick Wills, less than 100%, was much better than the alternative without Jedrick Wills there.
Yeah, Jedrick Wills, at times I thought he was hurting the team just because, again, he wasn't playing. He wasn't 100%. He was playing on a very, very hobbled ankle. But James Hudson's a rookie. I mean, that's going to take time. And, he's a guy that they didn't expect to have to play with Jack Conklin playing. And then all of a sudden, Jack Conklin gets hurt too. So Jedrick and Blake Hance I can live with. I can live with those two playing. I can live with that. Blake Hance is a guy who came in last year, played very well for the Browns. I think this year he's come in and played decently last week and played well against the San Diego/Los Angeles Chargers. So Blake Hance is a guy who's been there, who can, put up a fight against Von Miller, and they're going to do some things to make sure that he's not in an island against Von Miller. I would assume, you don't want to ever have a guy one-on-one against a player of that caliber, especially in the pass rush game. So I think that there will be some chipping from tight ends, some chipping from running backs. Maybe you'll see a little bit of fullback Johnny Stanton in there, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I would agree, and they'll do things much quicker and try to get things that develop quicker so that Von Miller can't wreck things. Let's take a look at Pro Football Focus. Most tackles missed, running backs that have forced them. So this is missed tackles forced by running backs. Nick Chubb not going to play tonight, but would potentially be available if this were a Sunday night game. 28 missed tackles. Derrick Henry, 26. And we show this because third on this list is Javonte Williams. That's one of the two-headed monsters that is running in the backfield for the Broncos. He and Melvin Gordon, the 1-2 punch for the Broncos. And the Browns cannot afford missed tackles. This is a game where the defense has to be good to help out a beat-up offense.
Yeah, they're obviously going to miss Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He's out tonight, but I think mostly they're healthy. You look at Jadeveon Clowney, I expect him to play. Myles Garrett, I expect him to play. You got Anthony Walker Jr., you got your whole secondary with Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams. I mean, they should be a pretty healthy unit defensively. And I think that you've got to be aggressive going after Teddy Bridgewater tonight. They've been very, very good in the run game. The Browns have defensively. I'm not as worried about that. But I think they got to get after Teddy. And I think, having a healthy defensive unit will certainly help the offense, which is definitely struggling with their health at this point. But you're right. Defensively, they have to play better than they've played. unacceptable numbers thus far.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. Teddy Bridgewater has a banged up foot, so he is hobbled. So I agree with you. Get after him, see what you can make him do. Well, the Broncos realize the Browns don't have one or two in their running back tandem. They're missing their top two. But Justin Simmons, safety for the Broncos, still expecting the Browns' run game to be very effective because of the scheme and the way the Browns go about it. Here's Justin Simmons on that Browns running attack he expects to see tonight.
That's exactly what I've seen. And that's not, I think, leveling system, like their running game, let's say it's here, then with Chubb and Kareem Hunt, there's a great player, so they elevate it. But their running game is still here, overall as a system with their O-line and the backs that they have. And so really whoever's in the backfield, like we know they're going to have great blocking. We know that they're capable of running the football well. And as a defense, you got to be able to, to be a force in the run game and stop that. And that's what it's going to take.
And that goes to your point. Dearness Johnson, certainly capable. Felton will get some carries. I wouldn't be surprised if Johnny Stanton gets some carries. He looked good running the football in preseason when they used him as a running back, quote unquote.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect to see too much of Johnny Stanton, but definitely a good option, a good guy. I think you want to get Dearness Johnson, Demetric Felton the ball. Don't expect, if Odell Beckham Jr. can go, expect him to be an extension of the run game with end arounds and whatnot. Expect a lot of screen action tonight, and that'll help things to open up. Expect Jarvis Landry to get the football in the run game. They're going to try to open up a lot of different things in this run game because you're right. Without Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, yes, they're still very good in their scheme. You're right. The offensive line does a very, very good job getting push up front, and I think they'll continue to do that. But that being said, we're going to see some different extensions of the run game just because of the main guys being out tonight.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. The other thing is, these are the type of games that the Browns signed Case Keenum for a couple years ago. He's a guy that has a number of NFL starts, has won with Kevin Stefanski's offense, has won big. He was 11 and 3, 11 and 2, 11 and 4, something like that, with the Vikings when he was a starter. They expect to win this game with Case Keenum as the quarterback.
That they do. They brought in Case. They pay him $6 million a year to be a really, really good backup. I mean, he's a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. If you look at all 32 teams, I'm not saying that he's top 15 like Baker Mayfield, but he's a guy that can go out and throw the football. He's very well versed in Kevin Stefanski's scheme. And he has a lot of weapons. I mean, obviously he doesn't have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, but if you can get Odell out there, you can get Jarvis Landry out there. Donovan Peoples-Jones had a great game last week. You have Austin Hooper, David Njoku, who have been David Njoku especially has had some really good weeks. So they got some weapons, and Case Keenum's not going to be without weapons in this game, and that's going to be big. So he knows the offense well. That's definitely a huge part of it. He's a veteran. He's a pro. He's a guy that you want in your locker room. He's a leader. So Case Keenum can come out and win this game. Absolutely.
Case Keenum knows it isn't going to be easy. He knows it's going to be a challenge because the Browns are banged up pretty much all over the offense. Here is Keenum on the challenge of getting ready on a short week with the injury situation, what it is.
It's always a great challenge. I mean, and that's what this league is about. Nobody's at 100%. After week one, nobody's playing at 100%. That's the way it goes, and that's the hard truth. That's why it's a grown man's league. That's why guys who aren't physically tough and mentally tough don't make it very long, because you've got to be both of those things in order to continue to have success in this league. You can flash in the pan, but if you want to continue to have success, you got to be tough. And we had a tough team from top to bottom, tough head coach, and we're raring to go.
And I know everybody's banged up, but think about it this way. 3 tackles were missing at one point. You're hopefully getting Jedrick Wills back. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. I mean, you've basically taken all of the playmakers and said, yeah, okay, now what you got?
Yeah, I mean, it's been bad. It's a lot of it's unluckiness. Nick Chubb with the calf injury. I mean, he keeps him out a couple of weeks. Kareem Hunt with the calf injury as well. Odell Beckham coming back from surgery. He's been out for a couple of weeks to begin the year. And then Jarvis Landry, never hurt in his career, and all of a sudden gets hurt this year. Baker Mayfield, never hurt in his NFL career, gets hurt this year. So it's been a tough road for this Cleveland Browns team. But I think about it this way, a team that undergoes adversity right now, and if they can get through this adversity, they're going to be so much stronger for it in the end. They're going to be so much stronger for it as the year goes on. So I think what better time than right now to go through adversity? If they can stop the bleeding, stop the skid at 2 games, win tonight, get to 4-3, get some guys healthy, get some guys some rest. Then you're looking at a team that's been through adversity. You're looking at a team that's getting playmakers back. You're looking at a team that's improving rather than, kind of heading the opposite direction. Now, the opposite can be said. If they lose this game, you're 3-4 and you're getting guys back, but then you're kind of scrambling. You got to be able to win the next week. And it seems tough. So a win tonight would cure a lot of things for this Browns team. They would be able to get some of their playmakers back and healthy, and that would be a huge advantage going forward.
Well said. Hayden Grove and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we'll dive into it. Is this a must-win game for the Browns, plus the Pro Football Focus matchup to watch for this one? Browns and Broncos getting ready to kick it off in just a few hours. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Browns and Broncos getting ready to kick it off in a few hours over at First Energy Stadium. Peter Schrager from NFL Network, Good Morning Football. Is this a must-win for the Browns?
It's not a must-win. I would almost say this is a must-get-healthy game. Like
Must-heal?
Must-heal. Like, I would almost rather, and this sounds so crazy, and you might want to throw me out of here as the football purist, I would almost be okay with losing this game as long as I get all my guys back healthy next week, and then we can march towards the playoffs in January. Look at the injuries we're talking about here. James hit on it a little bit here, but like, Cleveland, like, let's get some of these players back. So we got all these questionable players. Odell, is he going to go? Probably not. Conklin, maybe. Jedrick, maybe. At 4 o'clock, we find out if Jarvis Landry, who hasn't played in a month, is going to be able to play. Like, do we really need him out there? Yeah. To me, it's like, I would love to have them from week 8 on.
Pull them off.
As opposed to, so it's almost, it's not a must win. It's a must not have a crippling injury or have another awful rash of injuries. Like, this team is good when they're healthy. They are not good when they're unhealthy. Baker Mayfield did not look like the same quarterback he did in the first 2 weeks since he took that hit against Houston. I don't know if this is a must-win playoff-wise. I know for this team, this is a Band-Aid game. Like, if we win 16-13, they should be doing a parade down the street as long as we're healthy. This game is going to be a weird, ugly one tonight, and I'm trying to promote it in a way that's... You know why it's intriguing? You know why it's intriguing? Because we'll see if the Browns, what they're made out of. They can win this game despite that injury report. Maybe that is even more important than winning if they were fully healthy by 40 against the Broncos.
I think you're right.
And Hayden Grove, they need this one. I mean, you look at the way the AFC is stacked up. The Ravens are 5-1. You got several teams that are 4-2, including the Bengals in the Browns division, and then the Browns are at 3-3. The Broncos, Steelers also 3-3. You can't fall to 3-4. Not with what lies ahead of them. You got Steelers twice. You got the Ravens twice. I hate to say must win. and I won't say must win. They really need this one.
Yeah, I agreed with him on most of what he said in terms of, getting your guys back healthy. But I think it is as much of a must win as possible. It's not like a win or go home or anything. Like, it's not a must win in that way, but they got to be, if they want to do anything, I think tonight is huge. You're absolutely right. They want to get to the postseason. They're going to have a much, much, much more difficult time if they can't win this game. Again, it's about confidence. It's about momentum. It's about getting healthy. And again, a lot of these guys aren't going to play, so they are going to naturally get healthy because they're going to have that time off. But tonight is a very, very, very crucial game for the Cleveland Browns, given their expectations, given everything that's going on with them right now. So I would say it's as close to a must-win as you can possibly have without making it a must-win.
Yeah, especially close you can have to a must-win in Week 7. I mean, we're only in Week 7.
Right.
That's the scary thing about this. All right, Pro Football Focus matchup to watch. Courtland Sutton versus Denzel Ward. Now, the thing that concerns me about Sutton is he is a big target, much like Mike Williams, and we saw what happened against Mike Williams. Now, I realize the difference between Justin Herbert and Teddy Bridgewater is pretty significant, but a big target like Courtland Sutton, who can run and get free and is coming off just getting healthy, more and more healthy after a knee injury a season ago. Sutton's a concern. He's a young guy that can be a playmaker.
Yeah, I think with Mike Williams, it was just a matter of he was just, the scheme. There were blown assignments all over the field, and I didn't think Denzel Ward played that poorly against him, but the scheme was not very good against the Chargers. And when you blow assignments like they did, you're going to have a huge game like you did on Mike Williams. But Courtland Sutton's certainly a good player. The matchup with Denzel Ward is certainly one that that's why they put it on there. It's one to watch. So I'm excited for it. I think Denzel's got to step up. Denzel has not had the year that he's wanted to have, much like Baker Mayfield in terms of the injury. Denzel hasn't been as hurt this year, but hasn't played up to the caliber that he was, once playing up to. And, you worry about a contract extension if you're Denzel Ward. So during a contract year, you need Denzel to step up. And what better time than right now for Denzel to step up, play really, really well against a guy like Courtland Sutton and prove that, hey, I'm still here. I'm still really good. And I'm still really valuable to this team.
The other thing to note is John Brown, guy that's a deep threat, elevated off the practice squad for the Broncos, so somebody to keep an eye on tonight as well. All right, let's take a look at this. This is interesting. Giveaway takeaways. We had talked a lot about how the Browns wanted to create turnovers, and thus far they have not been able to. These are the turnover differentials, so it's giveaway takeaway from top to bottom. And you see the Browns are -3 in the giveaway takeaway. That is not what Kevin Stefanski and his defense has in mind. And you see the teams up near the top, by and large, Arizona, Buffalo, those are the teams that you're kind of hanging out with. The Cardinals +8, the lone unbeaten team in the NFL. And when you look at the disappointment that was last week, Browns were -3, turned the ball over 3 times, no takeaways. I think they only have 4 takeaways all year. That's another thing that if they get that corrected and turned the way they want to, things start to turn and the play starts to turn the way the Browns want it as well.
Yeah, this defense last year was so opportunistic. They turned the ball over like crazy. They got turnovers. They did a great job of taking the ball away from the other team. Be it via interception, be it via fumble. But this year, Myles Garrett was a big part of that. The strip sacks were, plentiful. But when you're talking about this Browns unit this year, I haven't seen any of that. I haven't seen any opportunistic, play from the defense. They haven't gotten the ball when they needed to. Kyler Murray put the ball on the ground, I think 3 or 4 times last week. And not once did the Browns come away with the ball back. So you got to find a way to get lucky. You got to find a way to, what's the quote? Preparation plus opportunity equals luck, So you got to be better. They got to be able to take advantage of these missed opportunities. Teddy Bridgewater, again, a guy who's not necessarily somebody who's taken care of the ball extremely, extremely well. So you got to, again, get after him and get the turnovers going again, because that's how you're going to build momentum as the defense. And that's how you can help your offense. The defense has not really helped their offense at all this year in any way. The offense has helped the defense at times like they did against the Los Angeles Chargers. And maybe the defense has, played really, really well against Chicago and Minnesota. But in terms of takeaways, it just has not been good. It has not been good whatsoever.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, Broncos coming off 3 straight losses after winning their first 3. And this defense hasn't played very well in those 3 losses, to be honest. Justin Simmons talked about some of the challenges, and Browns fans, this will sound awfully familiar. The questions that the Broncos defense keeps getting asked, are there malfunctions, are there mess-ups easily correctable? Here's Justin Simmons about what's been going wrong with the Broncos defense.
A lot of it is sometimes technique, sometimes communication, and just fundamentals, being where you're supposed to be, not doing too much, helping out in areas that didn't necessarily need help at the time. And that's what it comes down to. And so, when I'm asked after the game, like, is it fixable? Like, those things are fixable. It's not like I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It's not like it's not fixable is all I'm saying. So when I'm being asked, like, is it fixable? It's definitely fixable. And, but at a certain point, I said too, you can't say that. I've been saying that, the last 3 weeks. Yeah, it's fixable, it's fixable, it's fixable. And the same things keep popping up on tape. And so, at a certain point in time, you got to fix it. And I think that's like the most frustrating part, But that's my job. And like I said, I'm going to fix it.
You talk about, go ahead.
Is there a reason that the communication issues have popped up the past couple of weeks? It seems like we haven't seen that in the secondary beginning of this year and last year.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a multitude of things. I won't share in great detail just because obviously that's talking about like what we do, but it's a multitude of things. And when that boils down to it, communication is on my plate, my plate. I got to be able to fix that. And that's just ultimately what it comes down to. And I'll get that fixed. And like I said, you can't say it all the time, but I'm going to get it fixed.
And Hayden, that just resonated with me because that's what we have heard the last 2 weeks with the Browns defense. And the 84 points they've given up the last 2 weeks, more than any other defense in a 2-week period so far this year.
Yeah, he's saying the same things that we've heard John Johnson say. He's saying the same things we've heard Joe Woods say. I mean, it's about communication. It's about, yes, it's fixable, but you got to fix it. If it's fixable, then doesn't mean you're going to fix it right away, but they got to fix it. And the Browns, I think with the Browns, it's just difficult. I don't think they match up well against teams with mobile quarterbacks. I don't think they do. I think because their strength is their run, is their rush, getting after the quarterback, and their pass rushing with Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney and their defensive line. I don't think they mesh well with a quarterback like Kyler Murray. Again, a guy who can run around him. No matter how athletic Myles Garrett is, Kyler Murray is going to beat him probably 9 times out of 10 in terms of running the football around. So the Browns have had to be conservative against mobile quarterbacks, and that's probably the right game plan, but that's not their strength. Their strength is getting after the quarterback. Their strength is stopping the run. So when you can do that, and then, when you can't do that against a quarterback like Kyler Murray because you're trying to be conservative and keep him in front of you, that's going to make it tougher for your secondary. Tonight, I think that they should have a much easier job of getting after Teddy Bridgewater, like you said, hobbled with that foot injury. They need to be aggressive. I need Myles Garrett to go have a big day, and that will easily help the secondary. John Johnson, Ronnie Harrison, Grant Delpit, Greg Newsome, Greedy Williams, Troy Hill, Denzel Ward. I mean, the whole unit will be helped by a great pass rush and a great defensive line, which, again, I think in the past couple of weeks it's been hard because, you're looking at pretty mobile quarterbacks in Justin Herbert and Kyler Murray especially.
Yes, and there isn't as big of a threat if you get after him with Teddy Bridgewater hurting you with his legs. All right, we're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. On the other side of the break, was it the right decision to sit Baker Mayfield for this one against the Broncos? We'll dive into that. Plus, we will take a look at the Browns defense, how it's been doing comparative to last year. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Browns and Broncos getting ready to kick it off in a few hours over at First Energy Stadium. Case Keenum will get his first start at quarterback for the Browns. Baker Mayfield injured. Colin Cowherd on the Herd talked about why sitting Baker Mayfield tonight was absolutely the right move for the Browns.
If you look at the current schedule for the Cleveland Browns, they're still favored with Case Keenum tomorrow night, and I do think they'll win. It was one of my better bets on the board. I like Cleveland. But start looking at it. Next week, they host Pittsburgh. If Baker comes back healthy, they're favored. At Cincinnati, with Baker, they'd be favored. At New England, rookie quarterback, they'd be favored. Detroit, they'd be favored. The next time they're not favored, week 12 at Baltimore, and with or without Baker Mayfield, you're probably not going to win that football game. This is the right move as we've extended this season for this division and this roster. They've got mostly the same chance to make it work with Case as they do with Baker. Baker's better. The gap is not the Grand Canyon. But why risk an injury in that division with your roster? It makes absolutely no sense. I think they're making the right move, and I still think Cleveland wins.
And Hayden Grove, I agree wholeheartedly. I don't necessarily agree what he said about Baltimore, but that's way down the road. Don't put Baker. Look, football is a tough enough game at the NFL level when you're healthy. When you're not healthy, it becomes nearly impossible. Let Baker Mayfield get as nearly healthy or as completely healthy as he can be before you put him back out there.
Yeah, I think it's a good call by the Browns. I think it's a good call, like ignoring the outside noise. I mean, if in terms of the fan base, I think that there are some fans that actively root against Baker for whatever reason, and are very excited to see Case Keenum come in and play, which I think is kind of ridiculous in my mind. But what you don't want is a quarterback competition where, hey, Case comes out and plays really well, and the fan base is really looking forward to Case Keenum. I mean, I think it's dumb. I think Baker Mayfield's your guy regardless. So that being said, if inside the building, they don't listen to the outside noise. I think it's a great decision. Let Baker get another week of health, and then you plug him right back in if he's ready to go against the Steelers. There's no competition. He's better than Case Keenum, period, and he's your future at the quarterback position. Go with him. That being said, I think for this week, Baker's in a lot of pain. He's in a lot of pain. It's without a doubt. He could have played tonight, no doubt. That's just how tough he is. I mean, if this was the last year of his career, he would have absolutely go out there and play. There's no doubt. But again, he's got a whole season left. He's got a whole 11, 10 games after this one. You got to be ready for that grind. And, to give him 10 days off, to give him actually 2 weeks off, because technically he won't have played from Sunday to the next Sunday or to the following Sunday after this Sunday. I think it's the right move in terms of just his health. But I also thought, again, if Baker wanted to go out and he thought he was healthy enough, then I would have trusted him. But that being said, obviously he didn't. He thought that, he has good people around him telling him what is best for him, what's best for the team. And I think he ultimately made the right decision for himself and for the Browns. But again, if he felt good enough to play, I would have let him go out there.
I agree with you as far as he's the starting quarterback when he's healthy. If he is healthy enough to take the field against Pittsburgh, he's the guy you go with regardless of what Case Keenum does. All right, this one's on the Browns defense, and it is from the Hottest Take tweet. And what they're doing is they're looking at this year's defense versus last year's, and when you look at it, the heading is Joe Woods hasn't improved the defense. The issue here is you're not comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges, because 2021 right now is skewed because you face Patrick Mahomes, you face Kyler Murray, and you face Justin Herbert in the small sample size. However, the defense needs to play better. I don't think anybody would argue that. They need to turn the ball over more, and they need to get off of the field more. Those are the two main things. Get off the field, turn the ball over, and then the defense is doing good things.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said about the run game. They've done really, really well defending the run. I mean, that's been their strength. That's why they're playing so well on first and second down, because they're stopping the run. Third down is where you pass the ball most of the time, and they are just getting absolutely tortured. Fourth down, kind of the same deal, getting absolutely tortured. Not turning the football over because, again, they're not playing well against the pass. Period, end. And when you don't play well against the pass, you're probably not going to turn the ball over. So you're right. They've played, their three losses have been against three elite quarterbacks in Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Kyler Murray. that certainly doesn't help. But at the same time, you're right. They got to play better defensively. I think you are comparing apples to oranges in terms of last year's defense to this year's. Last year, at times, was a mash unit. This year, they're learning to grow together. They're just beginning to learn each other. They're just beginning to get together. And I think they have much more talent this year. And that's, you could say, well, Joe Woods needs to do better with the talent. I would agree. If things don't improve quickly, then yeah, I would agree. Maybe it's time to talk about Joe Woods. But for the time being, we're week 7. Hopefully they can start to bring it together, because we've seen weeks where they dominate. So there's no reason that can continue. They just have to come together and play as a complete unit.
Hayden Grove and I are going to step aside, take one more time out. On the other side of the break, Teddy Bridgewater talks about Myles Garrett and what he sees. We'll also take a look at how that Browns defensive line stacks up as far as sacks goes. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Browns getting ready for kickoff with the Denver Broncos. Thursday Night Football just a few hours away. Broncos quarterback Teddy Bridgewater talked about how concerned he was with Myles Garrett coming at him.
It depends. If he wears the shirt where he covers his muscles, or he wears it. But no, Myles, man, he's a freak athlete. He's a great, football player. He's a great human being as well. And when you combine those things, you can tell that he has a ton of passion when he plays the game. So the way he, you can tell that he has a great feel for the guy he's going against each week also. Like, you can tell he's prepared, he studies him, because when you watch him, he's winning so many battles. So he's a guy you got to know where he is when you're out there as a quarterback, when you're game planning. It's the reason he was #1 pick overall, something like that. So, yeah.
And Hayden Grove, that was a pretty good answer by Teddy Bridgewater, but you can be sure Broncos know where Myles Garrett is lining up, just like the Browns know where Von Miller is going to line up.
Yeah, Myles said he's wearing the sleeves. He's done with the sleeves. He's gotten drug tested twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row, because of the lack of sleeves. So he's going to be wearing the sleeves tonight. Plus, it's going to be a little chilly and a little rainy, a little wet. So that probably makes for a better decision with the sleeves. But Teddy's right. I mean, Myles does have a great feel for who he's playing. You can't, like I said, he's against mobile quarterbacks. It's tough. It's tough to rush the passer the way that they do. And Myles got a sack against Kyler Murray, but I don't think that they disrupted the game as much as they would have liked to, just because Kyler is so good at running around and kind of, and scrambling, and they wanted to keep in the pocket. So this game, Teddy's a little different. We've talked about it. Teddy, a great kid by all accounts. Again, Kevin Stefanski said he's an all-timer, all-time pro, all-time great guy, all-timer, and that he, fought back from injury and fought back from a, horrific injury. So yeah, I mean, definitely Teddy Bridgewater is great, off the field, on the field, but Tonight's the night for Miles to get after him. Tonight's the night for Miles to get after him. Tonight's the night for the Browns defense to really, really hone in on getting after Teddy Bridgewater, making life really, really difficult for him. And if I'm Teddy, I would be a little worried. They got some horses up there, and they're going to get after the quarterback.
Yeah, and let's take a look at this tweet. Sunday Night Football from on NBC tweets this out. These are the sack leaders by team this season. So Bears and Vikings tied with 21 sacks apiece. Browns and Rams, second or third, however you look at it, 18 apiece. You factor in that the Broncos allow better than 3 sacks a game. 3.2 sacks a game is what that Broncos offensive line is allowing. And this is definitely a game for Miles and Clowney and the Maliks to get after Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know that they'll get 9 like they had against the Bears, but 5, 6 isn't out of the question.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the amount of sacks they've had, half of them become a game. So I don't know if that says that, I think that says a lot about the quarterbacks they played. Like I said, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, they played against some really mobile quarterbacks. But tonight you're absolutely right. Tonight's get another 9. They might not get 9, but they need to get, 4 or 5. That would be really, really nice for the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett's got to be active. Jadeveon Clowney has had a great year. It's kind of gone under the radar. But he's been spectacular when he's in there. He's helping Myles Garrett to get free. Myles Garrett's helping him to get free. The Maliks inside are doing a really nice job, especially Malik McDowell has been fantastic after, coming from essentially nothing, not being in the league for so long. So you got to appreciate what you've seen from this Browns defensive line. You got to love what you've seen from this Browns, pass rush. I think this is the game. Like I said, some games you're not going to be able to do it. Just given the quarterback you're facing, tonight is a night where you can do it, and you've got to do it. Get after it.
All right, so a weapon that the Broncos have used effectively has been the tight end Noah Fant against Raiders last week. Granted, it was in a loss. 9 catches, 11 targets, 97 yards, 1 touchdown. Browns without Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who we've touched on, that's going to be a big loss. How big of a concern is tight end Noah Fant if you're a Browns defender?
Oh, he's huge. He's a huge concern. I mean, the Browns, haven't been great at covering the tight ends. I think Barnum Jr. and the Chargers had a really good game. So I don't know. I don't think it's been a very, very good suit for what the Browns have done defensively. So that's what I'm saying. You get after Teddy, and your problems are going to be solved. You get him to throw the ball over the field. You get him to inaccurately throw the ball over the field. You get him to get happy feet. You get him to get uncomfortable in the pocket. Everything else will take care of itself. But I don't know if the Browns are going to be able to cover a guy like Noah Fant very well. Again, a very, very, very athletic, very good tight end, great hands, great route runner. They're going to have their hands full with him. I mean, I'm not as concerned with, Cortland Sutton. Yes, a good matchup versus Denzel Ward, but I'm not as concerned with the rest of the receivers. I am concerned about, about Noah Fant. I am concerned about the running backs, in the pass game specifically.
So when you look at this game playing out, what do you see? How do you see this kind of playing out, and what do you think happens tonight?
This is such a Browns game. I mean, this is the Browns are going to win this game. I have no doubt in my mind, because they shouldn't. All their guys are out. They're Thursday night. Baker's not playing. Rainy night here in Cleveland. They're going to win. That's just what that's what Cleveland does. When they're counted out and when they shouldn't win, they're going to win. I am very, very confident about that. There's just something about this team. There's something about the city of Cleveland and their sports teams. Like, these are the games they win. These are the games the Browns win. And again, when you have a Kevin Stefanski coach team, they come out and they're very well prepared. They have a great game plan every week. I think Kevin Stefanski is a much, much, much better coach than Vic Fangio. And I think that'll certainly help them. I think they're going to be more disciplined this week. I have no doubts the Browns win. I don't think it'll be a blow up by any stretch of the imagination. I'm thinking what Peter Schrager said, or Colin Cowherd, or one of them said, 17-14, low scoring game, but hey, they get the job done.
Yeah, I think it's going to be low scoring. I think the Browns also win. I think it's close. The other thing I think, and tell me your reaction to this. I think Grant Delpit is a guy that probably has a pretty big game because they use him a little bit like they might use Owusu-Koramoah in his absence. He'll come on some blitzes, and I think he might be a guy that comes up with a turnover. I think the Browns defense gets a couple of turnovers, and I think I'm calling Delpit as getting one of them too.
Yeah, I mean, I think Grant Delpit does play that kind of hybrid role. He's got kind of the build of a linebacker at times, but also, the speed of a safety. So you like to see that from Grant Delpit. I think he will kind of play a little bit of the JOK role. You're right in that. And I think the turnovers, they're just due. They're due. I mean, they're due for turnovers. Kyler Murray's been, throwing the ball over the place and throwing touchdowns, but also throwing interceptions. Didn't have any last week. He put the ball on the ground 3 or 4 times last week, and he recovered all of them. So I think it's time for the Browns to get some turnovers. The ball might be a little slippery tonight, which the Browns offense has to be careful of. But I think tonight's the night Browns defense gets after it, and they do turn the ball over because, again, I think they're just due for it. I think it's time.
All right, Hayden Grove, as always, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Hayden.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
All right, Hayden Grove. Make sure you read them, pages of the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we will continue to talk Browns and Broncos a few hours away from kickoff on that Thursday night game. The D-Man, Dennis Manoloff from 1100 News Radio WTAM, will join us. Stay with us on Sports4CLE.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns as they get ready for kickoff in just a few hours now with the Denver Broncos over at First Energy Stadium. Let's welcome in the D-Man, Dennis Manoloff from 1100 WTAM News Radio as well as 106.9 FM. Dennis, what do you expect from Case Keenum? Keenum getting his first start for the Browns. What do you expect?
I expect a competent level of play. From a veteran backup quarterback pressed into service because Baker Mayfield is down. I don't think the moment will be too big for him because he's seen most, if not all, of what the NFL has to offer. You would expect some rust, though, because he hasn't played, meaningful snaps in a long time. But I think he'll be solid. Will he be good enough to help the Browns win? That remains to be seen. And I think the answer to whether Keenum's going to be good enough for the Browns is going to be found in how the defense plays against Denver's offense. Because if the defense plays well and corrects its myriad mistakes from the previous 2 weeks, then it'll take a lot of pressure off Keenum.
Yeah, and the curve, it's a grading curve with the defense, though. There isn't a Kyler Murray, there isn't a Justin Herbert who's lining up under center against the defense. So I would expect a performance much more like they got against the Bears or the Texans than they had the last 2 weeks.
Yes, but Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Bridgewater is a solid player, and if you give him weapons and you give him time, he can do some things. He doesn't turn the ball over typically, and he'll complete a high percentage of his passes. He'll frustrate you with the dinks and the dunks, but Teddy Bridgewater can play, so it's going to be it'll still be a test for Cleveland. Yes,
but again, when you talk about the 3 quarterbacks the Browns have lost to, all of them have been mentioned in the conversation for NFL MVP with the starts they're off to. So I get it. The other thing I would say about Bridgewater, he's got a little bit of a banged up foot. Hurt it late in the game last week. So this is the week to Myles Garrett, the defensive line, Joe Woods, get after the quarterback. He does not have the ability that a Patrick Mahomes, that a Justin Herbert even, and certainly that a Kyler Murray does to beat you with his legs.
That's a tremendous point. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is a solid quarterback, but he's not in the elite class of those two that you just mentioned.
All right, when you look at Jarvis Landry, he has been activated. They expect him to go tonight. How big of a help is that? Landry's not going to be 100%. coming off the MCL sprain. But how big of a lift can he be for this Browns offense?
Enormous. I mean, just having Jarvis out there, even if he isn't targeted a lot, it figures to attract the defense's attention. But I think, if he's healthy enough to go, Case Keenum will hitch his wagon to Jarvis Landry and be like, listen, I'm going to lean on you because you're a veteran who knows how to get open and you've got good hands. I need you. So if Jarvis can play, he's going to get targeted.
All right, the run game. You don't have Hunt. You don't have Chubb. You do have Dearness Johnson. What do you expect? Can you expect this run game just because it's, the zone running scheme and the people have been able to plug different guys in, and it seems like this scheme enables running backs to be successful. Can the Browns what do you expect from the Browns running game?
Not much. I don't want to dump on Dearness because we've seen flashes from him over the years, but no Chubb and no Hunt, it's incredibly difficult to overcome that. You go from having the best RB duo in the NFL to the cupboard is bare. But, it's an opportunity for other guys, including Johnson. I'm trying to figure out which approach the Denver defense is going to take. Are they going to dare Keenum to beat them and say, we're going to just take away any chance you have of running, even with your backups? Or are they going to dare the running backs to beat them and just drop everybody into coverage against Keenum and try to confuse him because they know he hasn't played in a while in a meaningful snap situation? So I'm not sure what the Denver approach is going to be, but Cleveland faces an uphill climb. There's no question about it on the offensive side.
Who is somebody you think needs to have or potentially can have a big game offensively for the Browns? Who goes into this and you're saying, boy, if this guy is able to break out and have a game, or the Browns need this guy to have a big game?
Whoever lines up at tight end, Dave Bacon. I mean, it's time. Let's go, tight ends. I mean, come on now. I know David Njoku had a monster game against the Chargers. He's capable. I've loved David Njoku since they drafted him. I think he's capable of big things. Austin Hooper, how else to describe Hooper but as a disappointment as a Cleveland Brown? And what was it against the Cardinals? I think their combined output of Njoku and Hooper was 2 catches for 9 yards or something ridiculously low like that. The tight ends have got to perform tonight. They have to help out Keenum. You figure that Keenum and Stefanski, from their history, have a good working relationship with the tight ends. So anybody who lines up at tight end for the Browns tonight needs to deliver the goods. Take some pressure off not only the quarterback, but take some pressure off the receivers and the running backs. I say tight ends are critical for the Browns tonight.
Yeah, and the other thing is you alluded to it. Case Keenum was really good in the offense that Kevin Stefanski and the Vikings ran. And then he went and hadn't been good after he left the Vikings, but the last really good year he had was in this offense. I think the other thing, and do you agree with this or no, I think you may see more of a screen game because Von Miller's going to be getting after it. So you may see some of the wide receiver screen types, running back screens. Case Keenum's going to get rid of the ball quickly, I believe.
Yes, he needs to, especially when he has Von Miller talking about how he's going to kill the person who is lined up against him, in a manner of speaking, figuratively, of course. But, yeah, the Denver D-line is going to be itching to get after it, knowing that the Browns tackle situation is problematic. So, yeah, Keenum's going to have to get rid of the ball early. I'd like to see some flare outs, some arrow routes from the running backs, in addition to what you're talking about, the screens. But, we look at screens, Dave, and from the outside, and we think, oh, it's an easy way to gain yards. But the reality is there is a lot of moving parts there. And you got to have a lot of people that know exactly where to be at the exact correct time. So it can be difficult to execute these. But I get your point. Those kind of dinks and dunks wouldn't hurt at all.
All right, what do you expect from the Browns defense? What if the Browns are going to win, what do you need to see from the defensive side of the ball?
A whole heck of a lot, Dave. I mean, I was singing the praises of Joe Woods' D a couple of weeks ago because they were coming off of, back-to-back games in which they allowed 6 and 7 points. In, 23 possessions. They allowed a total of 13 points at home against the Bears and on the road against the Vikes. And then the wheels came off. 47 in L.A. against the Chargers, 37 against the Cardinals. Communication breakdowns, guys in the wrong position, missed tackles, all kinds of stuff. And let me just point this out too. Way too often, in my opinion, we automatically assign blame. And I just mentioned the name Joe Woods, the D coordinator. Just because the defense breaks down doesn't mean it's automatically the defensive coordinator's fault. Remember, too, the head coach is ultimately responsible for everything. The head coach is Kevin Stefanski. It's his offense, his defense, his special teams. So every time the defense has a breakdown, it's not automatically Joe Woods that's the problem, okay? Kevin Stefanski, the buck stops with him. He has veto power, I would think, on any defensive call. If he doesn't like the fact that the Browns aren't blitzing, he can tell Joe Woods, you need to blitz more, or I want you to blitz on this down or that down or this point of the game. So too often, Stefanski gets a pass for his team's bad defense. That said, I think it's a combination. It's a combination of players not doing their jobs. The scheme doesn't seem to be attacking enough against quality quarterbacks. I know that's easier said than done. But you have to put some of these really good quarterbacks under duress. You have to make them nervous. You have to rush at them from different angles, different sides. You need to send more people than maybe the conventional 4. So it's been a colossal breakdown for the Browns D the last 2 weeks. They have to be better from stem to stern.
The D-man, Dennis Manoloff, and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we'll get into our Pick 4 segment, including how we see tonight's game with the Browns and who we have as far as the Browns versus the spread. Sports4CLE, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
Browns only a few hours away from kickoff against Broncos on Thursday Night Football. Well, the D-man and I, we needed a bye week last week after getting beat up through the first 5 weeks. So week 5, D-man, you were 2-1-1 against the spread, 7-12-1 overall. I was 2-2, so 9-11 overall. Let's begin with the Browns and Broncos tonight. How do you see this playing out? Who you like? Who you got?
Dave, I kind of like the bye week because it allowed me to rest on my 2-1-1. A much needed over 500 week. But I like the Browns and I don't like the Browns, meaning I'm nervous about them. I don't see how they're going to win because they have so many injuries. But I like them enough to think that they're going to win, and therefore I'll pick them. I'll take the Browns minus the 1.5. I guess the bottom line for me is I can't even imagine this team going into their mini bye at 3-4. Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about the house falling down, the sky falling. If the Browns are 3-4, it's just going to be mind blowing to me. So by hook or by crook, they'll figure out a way.
I as well will go with the Browns -1.5. I think the defense plays a lot more like they did against the Texans and the Bears than they did against the Chargers and the Cardinals. Having said that, I am concerned about Noah Fant, and I am concerned about Courtland Sutton. Sutton's a big target and gives me flashbacks of Mike Williams with the Chargers. But I think the defense does, in fact, get after Teddy Bridgewater, and I think they may create some turnovers. It's the big thing that's been lacking from this defense. They have not created turnovers. Maybe some of the blown coverage goes from them trying to create turnovers where there wasn't a play to create turnovers. We'll see. But I'm going with the Browns. I'm with you on that. All right. As we move on, we got a couple that we disagree with. So let's go the other AFC North game that we're both picking. Bengals at the Ravens. Ravens 6.5-point favorites. Who you got there?
I'm taking the Ravens here. I know they've had some scares along the way to 5-1, so it's not like they've been invincible. They should have lost realistically to the bad Lions in Ford Field in Detroit among their close calls. But I'm really impressed by what I've seen lately. They're at home. Lamar Jackson is on fire. Yes, the Bengals come in at 4-2. Yes, Joe Burrow has done some good things, but I can't get out of my head the only other time Joe Burrow has played in Baltimore, because he's only a second-year quarterback. He did play in Baltimore before he got injured last year, and he was abysmal. He was terrible, and the Ravens made him look bad. So I think it's possible that the Ravens, until proven otherwise, have Burrow's number. Therefore, I say the Ravens minus the points.
I'm going to go with the Bengals taking the points, and the thought I have behind this is, the Bengals, it's a much bigger game to the Bengals for them to try to prove who they are than it is the Ravens. I think the Ravens might look a little past the Bengals in this one. I still think the Ravens are going to win. I don't think they're going to cover. I think it's going to be an exciting game. I am a big believer in the young, skilled position players for the Bengals. I think there are a lot of problems and are going to be a lot of problems for everybody, including the Browns. So I'm going to go with the Bengals. I'm going to take the 6.5. Another one that we differ on, Eagles +3 at the Raiders. Who you got in this one, D-Man?
I take the Eagles. I wish I were getting more from Brian, producer extraordinaire. I want more than 3. I'd like 3.5, 4, 4.5. But I don't know. I really don't know why it is that I have this soft spot for the Eagles. Maybe it's because I follow a lot of their, for whatever reason, I follow a lot of their analysts on Twitter. But the Eagles are never, in my mind, as bad as they show in a given week. And the Raiders are coming off of a well done, performance in Denver. So I could see where people would be bullish on the Raiders, including, I'm pretty sure, you in a few seconds, Dave. But I'll take the Eagles here with the points. As I said, I wish I were getting at least a half a point more.
I like the Raiders in this. I like what I've seen from Derek Carr. I like Jacobs, although he's been a little banged up. Kenyon Drake is a guy that can be a problem out of the backfield, and they haven't really had a big game from Waller. I think Darren Waller reappears and kind of creates a lot of problems for that Eagles defense. I do like the Raiders -3. All right, Jets at the Patriots is the one that you're going with. Patriots at home, favored by 7 over the Jets.
I mean, even if the Patriots had not played pretty darn well overall against the Dallas Cowboys in the previous week. In a thrilling game, went to overtime. Cowboys won it. I get that the Patriots D gave up a ton to the Dallas Cowboys, but guess what? The Cowboys are almost a video game offense these days. So there's no shame, although Belichick would say there is. There's no shame in giving up a lot of yards and a lot of points to this iteration of the Cowboys. The Jets coming in right after the Dallas Cowboys is going to feel like you've gone from, a calculus 4-hour exam to second grade math. And the Patriots defenders are going to be like, man, this is a party. So I think the Patriots will dominate from start to finish.
All right, fair enough. The last one I am going with the Panthers -3 at the Giants. I think the Giants are just too beat up. I think Sam Darnold finally gets things rolling offensively. I know McCaffrey probably isn't going to play. That's usually not a good thing for the Panthers. DJ Moore, I think has a big game. I just think I like the Panthers. I think the Panthers get it done against the Giants. D-Man, we will see how we head-to-head with two here. And we don't look at our picks together, so we disagree on two. So a big chance for you to make a move and catch me or even overtake me.
Or for you to bury me.
That's what I'm hoping for. The D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, as always, man. Appreciate the time and the insight. Make sure you listen to him. WTAM 1100 News Radio as well as 106.9 FM. D-Man, as always, appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. We will be back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We will rehash and talk about what went right, what went wrong with the Browns and Broncos. Scheduled guests Jeff Risdon from Brownswire.com and Tim Bielek from The Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. That is tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We'll see you then. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 4.